Buddha,
it is said,
Atma Sukhaya,
for personal satisfaction, by such pastimes. Cha, also, Asya, of this material world, Vikriditam, manifested, Bhagavataha, of your lordship, Ruchira, very pleasing, Avatarai, by your incarnations. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O my Lord, all the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, are sincere servants of your Lordship, who are situated in a transcendental position. Therefore they are not like us, Prahlad Maharaj and his father, the demon Hiranyakashipu. Your appearance in this fearsome form is your pastime, for your own pleasure. Such an incarnation is always meant for the protection and improvement of the universe. Purport. Prahlad Maharaj wanted to assert that his father and the other members of his family were all unfortunate because they were demoniac, whereas the devotees of the Lord are always fortunate because they are always ready to follow the orders of the Lord. When the Supreme Lord appears in this material world in his various incarnations, he performs two functions: saving the devotee and vanquishing the demon. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam. Lord Nrsingadev, for example, appeared for the protection of his devotee. Such pastimes as those of Nrsingadev are certainly not meant to create a fearful situation for the devotees. Nonetheless, the devotees, being very simple and faithful, were afraid of the fierce incarnation of the Lord. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj, in the following prayer, requests the Lord to give up his anger. Mukam karoti bachalam mangam lanayate ekadivyam kripataram mande Shri Guru. So previously in an earlier class here, I explained how Krishna consciousness has nothing to do with the birth. So Prahlad Maharaj, as Prabhupada explains here, he is simply taking a simple and humble position by declaring that the demigods, they are your devotees, and we, he's including himself, we were born in this Asura, Loka, Asura family. We are different from them. But actually, as will be seen, of all the, because gathered there after the appearance of Lord Nrsingadev were all the exalted personalities of the whole universe. And it will be seen that none of them could pacify Lord Nrsingadev's anger. He was very, the word is implacable. Implacable means that just that point. He could not be pacified. Only Sri Prahlad Maharaj could pacify the Lord. So that points to a very special relationship that Sri Prahlad Maharaj has with Lord Nrsingadev, with Krishna in this form. So Srila Prabhupada speaks of the difference between the devotees and the demons and cites this verse, Parichanaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam, that the Lord appears to deliver his devotees and destroy the demons. So it's very clear from the pastime of Lord Nrsingadev's appearance that Prahlad Maharaj is particularly the devotee. He's particularly the sadhu that Lord Krishna came in this instance to deliver. And of course, Hiranyakashipu was the demon, Dushkrita. So, what we have to, because those of us coming to this Krishna consciousness movement, the background is also not so good. The Butra, the family origins are not the best. But this is a very excellent example for us, in that Prahlad Maharaj's devotion to the Lord and the acceptance of his devotion by the Lord is in no way checked by that circumstance of his birth. So everyone can take strength and encouragement from that. And the point here is that the Lord appears Ruchira Avatarai in so many incarnations. Also Lord Nrsimhadev, which seems to be very fearsome. Still, these incarnations for the devotee are Ruchira. Ruchira means very pleasing. For the demons, they're not pleasing. Neither the incarnation of, maybe only the incarnation of Lord Buddha. But the other incarnations certainly are not pleasing. Even the incarnation of Adi Purusha, Lord Krishna himself, is very much opposed by the demons even today, who try, as Prabhupada says, by their nonsense commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, they're actually attacking the Lord, just as 5,000 years ago there were demons who approached Krishna with raised weapons with the intention of cutting his transcendental body, cutting off his head, cutting his arms. So similarly today, the Asura scholars, they try to, with their sharp words, their critical commentaries, also try to cut Krishna, especially the impersonalists. They want to remove Krishna's body completely and leave only a Brahman. That one Sarvapalli Ramakrishna who said, it is not to Krishna, the person Krishna, to whom we should surrender, but the unborn within Krishna. So that means he wanted to remove Lord Krishna's transcendental form. Yes, so these demons are not pleased by the Lord's appearance, but anyone who is pleased by Krishna's appearance, even in ferocious forms like Lord Nrsimhadev, is devotee. So devotees have no need to fear the appearance of the Lord. But they should fear, just as Prahlad Maharaj, he actually prays that I don't, elsewhere, he prays that I don't fear your sharp teeth, your dangerous claws. I don't fear your loud roars, but I fear that I might forget you. So a devotee should fear Maya. And with the demons, it's just the opposite. The demoniac quality is that they don't fear Maya. In fact, they desire to take shelter of Maya. More and more and more. They consider that to be progress. Then Prahlad Maharaj points that out in verse 2. Maya Sukhaya. Prabhupada very often used to point to these two words taken from Sri Prahlad Maharaj's prayers. Maya Sukhaya, Maya Sukha. This is the business of the demons, to find happiness in illusion. And Prabhupada sometimes used to translate this term Maya Sukha, Maya Sukhaya, as humbug civilization. Of course, literally, Maya Sukhaya means the business of finding sukha or pleasure in Maya. But there are lectures where Srila Prabhupada would say this term, Maya Sukhaya, and translated humbug civilization. Because that is the basis of the demoniac culture. It is built up on the principle that Maya is our place. Our place is in Maya. And here we can be happy. We just have to we have to tinker with Maya a little bit, have a little technology, a little economic development, and other such arrangements. And then we will be happy perfectly forever. So nice. But actually, this attempt is, there's another word, mada, it means crazy. It's a crazy attempt from the very beginning. The demoniac mentality is always fun. Prabhupada often says that their business, just like the devotees, their value system is the support of everything a devotee does, are the legs of Dharma. Cleanliness, austerity, truthfulness, mercy. It's like we have our regulated duties, our regular conduct as devotees. Now everybody has some regular conduct, devotee, non-devotee. That is pragmatic life. This is the word pragmatic, and it comes from the Greek root, and the Greek root refers to regular conduct. So, your duty in life. So everybody has their duty in life, including the devotees. The question is what is the basis of that conduct? Now, for devotees, for followers of the Vedas, the regular duty or our pragmatic life, it is not man-made. It comes from the Vedic scriptures. In other words, it comes from Krishna. The Vedas are called apaurushaya. They're not man-made. Aparushaya, that means the root is purusha. So purusha prakriti stohi bhumte prakriti jaguna. Ordinary conditioned souls, they think of themselves as purusha. They think of themselves, as we've been saying, as the enjoyers of matter. And thus their regular duties in life are all based on that principle. And that's like the German philosopher Nietzsche. He was very critical of this pragmatic idea because, of course, he was only aware of the materialistic form of pragmatism. So for him, it's all relative. These are not true values. And he wrote this work called Thus Spake Zarathustra. So Zarathustra was his idea of a sage. Why was Zarathustra a sage for Nietzsche? Because he was speaking Nietzsche's philosophy. Nietzsche just created this character to speak his own words. But he wrote this work, Thus Spake Zarathustra, as a kind of scripture in that style, as if it was a bona fide scripture. It was just Nietzsche. So he has Zarathustra saying that I have traveled to all the countries of the world and I have seen all the people, and I've seen how in one place something is celebrated as good and something else is valued as bad, and then I go to another place and the opposite is being done. In this other place, people are valuing as good that which in the first place they said was bad, and that which was good there is bad here. So he's saying that this pragmatic approach, which in his understanding is all human-centered, human beings trying to impose their values on the world, this is not absolute. it is all relative and therefore all illusion and must be rejected. Of course, he had no alternative except what he called the will to power. And Adolf Hitler was very fond of this. Just like they say, Lenin was the Acharya, the one who, or in other words, the one who executed the best disciple of Marx. Marx had the theory, and Lenin was his disciple who actually showed the world how to follow Marx. So Nietzsche had an idea, and Adolf Hitler was the best disciple. That's what they say. It is also pointed out that Nietzsche probably would not have liked Adolf Hitler, but anyway, that's what happens to the material philosophers in this world. With all good intentions, they write books, and they're followed by people like Lenin and Hitler, who do all kinds of sinful activities based on this philosophy, because the philosophy is wrong. If one is empowered by Krishna to write philosophy and influence the minds of people, but he doesn't present the correct philosophy, then one can be sure that the results of that presentation will be very inauspicious. So that's the way it is. Anyway, so Nietzsche, he decried this relative value system. Precisely because it is paurushe, it is man-made. But the Vedas, which also are presenting for human beings a pragmatic doctrine. This is a very interesting point. I think, but actually it's very useful for here in Sweden, because Swedish people are known to be intellectuals, but unfortunately in the wrong way. And we can explain exactly what that means. That there are two approaches to philosophy. One is summed up, and I'll just use the common terms, Western philosophical terms. One is summed up by the word cosmology, and the other is summed up by the word teleology. So, if all of us here can accept that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, is actually the true philosophy, then the conclusion is that the actual philosophical process, the real philosophical process, is teleology, because that's the process that is presented here. Teleology, the root is Greek telos, which means purpose or goal. So teleology looks at the truth in this way: that what is the purpose of a thing? What is its function? What is its goal? And the teleological process, there's an argument, it's called the teleological argument, the argument of design. That if you want to know what is the purpose of anything, ultimately this means the whole cosmos, the whole universe. Then the real purpose is known to the maker of it, the designer. Because anything has a design. It's like this harmonium, or anything. Also in nature, everything has a design. So from our limited human point of view, we may not be able to understand the purpose of things, because we are not the designer. But to get that knowledge, one should approach the designer, or one who knows the intent of the designer. So this is the avaroha panta. This is accepting descending knowledge. It is all based, first of all, on the acknowledgement that things are designed. Things show intelligent design. So one has to be prepared to look at the world in that way. That everything has a purpose, a designer, and that necessitates a designer. And from this designer, one should receive knowledge of the purpose of things. This is called the teleological pursuit. And this is real philosophy. This is Vedanta philosophy. Prabhupada, how many times Prabhupada would say, knowledge begins with inquiring into the cause. Just like Vedanta Sutra. What is that first aphorism? Atatu Brahmacharya. Now is the time. Now in this human form of life we should inquire into Brahma. And what is Brahman? Janmandisya, the origin of everything. So many times Prabhupada would say that this is real knowledge, this is real philosophy, inquiring in this way. Now there's another way, which is called, as I said, cosmological. So in the cosmological process, one is simply trying to understand what is real and what is not real, but divorced from any sense of purpose. The sense of purpose is not necessary. And therefore this acknowledging a designer is not necessary. Simply to try and understand in some abstract theoretical way what is real and what is not real. And this I've noticed is the general intellectual pattern followed by Swedish people. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this has been my observation from questions and things like that I get. And they're very fond of just trying to understand what is real and what is not real. But we should consider from what position that will be done. Ultimately, it can only, if you are not interested in the teleology, in searching out the purpose of a thing, by turning to the designer of it, this is turning to a higher source of knowledge, then you're left with only your own subjective impressions. Then ultimately what is real and what is not real, you'll have to decide. By pratyaksha and anuma, by direct perception and mental speculation. And then you'll decide, this is real, this is not real, or this is good, this is bad. Someone else will decide, no, this is real, and this is not, just the opposite. And this way life goes on, endless arguments. And therefore there's so many ideas of philosophy. So this is not actually philosophy. This is not actually accepted as real philosophy by the real philosophers. Why? Because it will never come to an end. It's been pointed out by those who are very perceptive that what is at the basis of this type of thinking, the cosmological pursuit, is not knowledge at all. It is not the pursuit of knowledge. It is the pursuit of power. Because the only way that some overriding idea of what is real, not real, will ever be established in the world is if a person with such and such opinion, that opinion becomes powerful over others. So actually it looks like philosophy, but it's covertly just, and that was Nietzsche's idea too, the will to power. My idea is the right idea. And the real successful philosopher is he who can impose his ideas upon the world. But such ideas will change. They must change in time, because yes, such and such philosopher or world leader, whatever, his ideas will become prominent, but then in time he'll be swept away from the stage. It is only Krishna who is the actual source of everything, the designer of everything, who gives everything the real purpose. He is coming again and again and again to establish the real truth in his avatars. So this is the actual, what they call perennial philosophy, or eternally returning philosophy, that which is given by Krishna. Because Nietzsche has come, Nietzsche is gone, he's gone for good. Maybe others will come and say things similar to Nietzsche, but Nietzsche is dead and gone. Goodbye. But the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, is eternal. It is perennial because Lord Krishna comes again and again. Dhammasya glani, when the truth, when the actual understanding of Dharma becomes lost, then the Lord returns again to revive it. So, anyway, back to, we took a digression on what is real philosophy. Yeah, so real philosophy means the ascending process, to inquire into the cause and receive knowledge from the cause, from the designer. And it's on this basis that for the followers of the Vedas, that regular duties are accepted. Dhammasya shakshat bhagavat pramitam. The way of life for the devotees of the Lord is that which is enunciated, that which is given by Krishna. We don't imagine by pratyaksha and anuman, by direct perception and mental speculation. We don't create duties for ourselves, but we accept what is given in Shastra. And by doing that, then one is immediately freed from this trap that Nietzsche spoke of, the relative trap. You invent your own values, and thus in one place this is valued, in another place that is valued. This is the material world, the relative world. But Vedic duties, Vedic dharma, they're called there's a term you'll find in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and it's very often used in Vedic literature, Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra. Setu. Vedic, the prescribed duties are called setu. Setu means a bridge. So a bridge connects two shores. So one can cross from this shore, the shore of the material world, to the transcendental world, the spiritual world, by following Vedic duties. Now this simile of a bridge, this example of a bridge is very nice. And now someone may say, but on this side of ignorance, how will I know that it is good to cross this bridge? Because all human conduct, regular human conduct, is built on values. So, because the people here, anywhere in the material world, they value sense gratification. They think this is good. Therefore, they're doing their duties, their material duties. So, they accept sense gratification because they're all in ignorance. So how will people in ignorance accept that it is good to cross this bridge? Cross on the path of Vedic Dharma from the material shore to the spiritual shore. How will they ever value that? How will they ever see that this is what they should do with their human life? So that is precisely the point of Lord Krishna's famous verse in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 34. Very famous verse, everybody I think learns this verse, Tadvidi Pranipati Pariprashni, about accepting the spiritual master. Because in the previous verse, 4:33, the Lord has said concerning the duties prescribed in the Vedas. He's been speaking of that. And he says, Sarva karma kilam partha jnane parisampayate. He says that all prescribed duties are meant to bring us to transcendental knowledge. Jnana. So then in text 34 he says, so if you want this knowledge, if you want to know about sacrifice and how to perform sacrifice and the goal of sacrifice on the other side of the shore, transcendental knowledge, that's when he says tad vidi. It's in that context, tad vidi, when he says tad vidi. Vidi means this method. If you want to know, if you want to have knowledge about this method of sacrifice, this method of following the Vedic duties, in other words, if you want to get the values that will impel you to cross the bridge, the value system here and now in this world of ignorance, which will convince you, yes, I have to follow the Vedic scriptures, then you must accept the spiritual master. The spirit, in other words, because he is Tattvadarshi, he has seen the truth. Values that support this bridge are what? No meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. These are the, or in other words, truthfulness, cleanliness, austerity, mercy. These are the legs of Dharma. Dharma is also compared to a bull with 4 legs, or if we compare it to a bridge has its legs of support. So these are the values, and these are to be gained from associating with the spiritual master. By associating with great souls, one can see that yes, this is the proper way of life, and then one will follow. Acharya, he teaches by example. Otherwise, if you're just told from a position of ignorance that you should follow these principles, if you're just told that, well, the tendency is to rebel. We were also told before we became devotees to follow certain principles. And we didn't like that because there's no example. So the demons on the other side, they follow the principles of Adharma, irreligious principles, which are mad, mada. There's an old account from the Vedic scriptures of the Ashwini Kumars. They are the doctors of the demigods. They give medicine, give treatment to the demigods. And they're considered of lesser rank among the demigods. So they were unhappy because they were not sharing in the sacrifice, in the soma, the nectar, which is made available to the demigods by the sacrificial process. When sacrifice is performed, then that becomes soma in heaven. And it's performed by Brahmins on earth. So the Ashwini Kumars, they wanted to also get their share of the nectar, but Indra wouldn't give that to them. So they approached a great sage, Chavana Muni, and Chavana Muni took compassion upon them, and he said, yes, I'll force Indra to surrender. So he, by his mystic power, he created a demon. This demon was called Mada, which means mad or crazy. And this demon was so powerful, gave so much trouble to Indra, that Indra had to surrender to Chavana Muni. Yes, all right. I am your servant. Please stop this demon from attacking me. So Chavana Muni said, yes, I'll do that on one condition, that you give the Ashwini Kumar's nectar. Yes, I'll do. So then Chavana Muni, he cut this demon he created into 4 parts. And one part became illicit sex, one part became gambling, one part became intoxication, one part became meat eating. And so these 4 parts then, they entered human consciousness. or they answered the consciousness of those who are inclined to enjoy this world. So these are actually crazy value systems. They all come from the severed body of this demon, Mada. And someone who learns to value meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, the four legs of Abdana, he becomes crazy. And his destination, the bridge that he crosses, is a very unfortunate condition. So this is actually the difference between the devotees and the demons. It has nothing to do with birth, it has everything to do with values. The devotees are those who value going back home, back to Godhead, by following the duties given to them by Krishna, the regular duties of life, which are based on dharma, principles of elevation. And the demons on the other side, they're very fond of crazy activity, which lead them to hell, bridge to hell. All right, so we'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions? Yes.
And you have said that devotee, he accepts the Krishna conscious value system, to speak, but if I can see that sometimes the value system that we had before, as a karmis, it acts like a screen that's a little bit dilutes this Krishna conscious value system. So isn't that also an obstacle that our previous value system doesn't go away so easily?
Well, if you want, if you're serious, it will go away immediately. Just like the example of Magrari the hunter. Because he was so captivated by the personality of Narada Muni and wanted so much to serve him. First he tried to serve him because of ignorance. This is precisely the point. Because of ignorance he didn't know any better. But he wanted to offer service to Narada, so he tried first of all to do it the way he was accustomed, by offering Narada Muni animal skins. So that means he was trying to employ his own values in the service of Narada. But Narada said, no, I don't want this. So because he was so attached to Narada Muni, he so much valued Narada Muni, then immediately he dropped this idea. And he just wanted to know from Narada Muni, what do you want me to do? How can I please you? And when Narada Muni explained what he wanted him to do, then he immediately accepted. And he became recognized in society immediately as a saintly person. So, if we value the association of sadhus, it is stated, Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoya Sadhusam, the root of Krishna Bhakti, of devotional service and the means of progressing in devotional service, is association with pure devotees. So if we value that, then all of our previous value system will not be an obstacle. Of course, when I say value that, I mean value it wholeheartedly. So actually, you see, you've mentioned how it is seen in ISKCON. Yes, it is true. It is seen that there are those who join ISKCON, but they are unable to different degrees, to completely renounce their previous value systems, unless they're drawn even after having taken initiation and taken up a position in this movement. One sees how they may be drawn back in different ways, subtle or gross, to previous values. The reason for that is because of, well, I need to put it quite plainly, because of Vaishnava aparat, because of offenses to devotees, including their spiritual master. They are unable to fully appreciate the values that the Vaishnava embodies. Sarva Maha Guna Gana Vaishnava Shriyur. What is a Vaishnava? It is he who embodies all the good qualities. The qualities that are Krishnera Guna, Krishna's own transcendental qualities, so they can be seen in a Vaishnava. So, due to aparat, due to offending the Vaishnavas, then that is the obvious reaction. So one becomes attracted again to asat sangha. If I offend Vaishnavas, then to the degree I'm offending them, I will not be able to associate with them properly. And since you have to associate with someone, then one will become attracted to the asat sangha, the illusory association. And that begins on the platform of the mind. This association means, just like Krishna says, Jayato Vishya Pungsang Sangas Teshu Vajayati. It begins with what you think about. So we should be thinking how fortunate we are to have attained the association of devotees. We should be thinking of the instructions of devotees. We should be thinking of following their example. We should be thinking how to serve them. And then we will always associate with them. But when there is some aparad, some tendency for offending devotees in the mind, then one thinks other things. One thinks about this material world. One thinks about Arnold Schwarzenegger and Madonna and discotheques and stuff like that. Even if it's just thinking. But that Lord Krishna says, Sangat Teshu Vajaya, that is already association. And that means those values will color the consciousness. And it will become apparent in a person's behavior. He may remain externally within the behavior of devotees, but it can be seen that he's actually not all there, as the expression goes. He's not all there. And Prabhupada said, I remember a lecture in which Prabhupada said that you may be living in the temple, but your mind may be millions of miles away. And it's where your mind is that you actually are. So the way to solve this, to correct this tendency, is to correct our offensive attitude towards devotees. To learn to value the association. You see, a proper association with devotees is not just toleration. Tolerate. Right? I have to live in the temple. There's all these creepy people here. Anyway, I'll tolerate them. This is not quite enough. It's a good beginning. At least you're there and you'll be benefited. But actually, a saintly person, one who is actually a saintly person, one who actually has spiritual vision, what is it? He sees everyone as himself. This is the Prahlad Maharaj says, a man of knowledge. This is one of the qualifications. Where we just recently were reading a verse also with the same point. Sarva Bhutatmanatmana. He sees Sarva Bhutatma. That means the self of all living beings, the Atma of all living beings, as the same as his own. So what that means is if he's thinking this person is creepy and that person is weird and this person is unpleasant to be with, then actually that's himself. That means he has these qualities. He has these qualities, first of all, that he's creepy and weird and unpleasant. And like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, he explained it this way, nice example. Because I am so honeycombed with faults, you know the honeycomb? It is this construction of the bees which has many cells in it. So there are many, many holes in it. So it's a big, nice example, honeycomb. So it's because I am honeycombed with so many faults. Therefore, wherever I look, looking through this honeycomb shell of faults, I see faults everywhere. So first of all, we find association with others unpleasant because we ourselves have problems. Maybe they also have their problems, and our two, from both sides, problematic natures are interacting. But the fact is, if I didn't have my own impurities, then I wouldn't be seeing others this way. A Vaishnava, if he's pure, if his Atma is pure, his mind is pure, intelligence